Hi, Assalamualaikum everyone. So, hari ini kita dah masuk on the analyzing operating activities. This is under chapter 5. This chapter will be tested in your multiple choice question and also in question 1 dekat part B. So, let's go. This will be your topic objective. So, kita nak tengok on income measurement dan juga revenue recognition for this chapter. Untuk income measurement, kita akan go for a recap on the income concept. So, income concept kita ada two types of measurement. So, first one adalah economic income. The second one adalah the permanent income. So, economic income adalah the net change in the shareholders' wealth during a period, includes both recurring and non-recurring component, rendering it less useful for forecasting future earning potential. So, economic income ni income yang hasil daripada our revenue tolak our expenses. This based on our operation. Untuk permanent income, it is also called as sustainable earning power or sustainable normalized earnings. It is actually an estimate of stable average income that company expect to earn over its life. So, untuk permanent income ni, dia reflect more on the long-term focus as compared to the economic income. This is accounting income. Accounting income is determined by recognizing revenue dengan matching cost. So, kita akan matchkan revenue dengan cost yang kita incurred untuk get that revenue. So, the net effect will be the accounting income. So, accounting income adalah based on accrual accounting. So, it may subject to error yang arise from accounting distortion like the earnings management and also estimation error. The components of accounting income ada tiga, which is the first one adalah permanent ataupun recurring component. Okay, income yang akan recur indefinitely sampai business to liquidate. So, selagi dia tak liquidate, dia akan incur the same recurring income. And then number 2 adalah the non-recurring component which is not expected to persist. Maksudnya dia takkan selalu ada, okay, dia takkan recur often. And then the value irrelevant component which has no economic content, they are the accounting distortion. Ni adalah yang menyebabkan accounting tu less accurate. These are the components of accounting income yang paling utama, which is revenue dan gains. Yang ni yang kita akan tolak against the expenses and losses. Okay, so revenue adalah the earned inflow ataupun prospective inflow of cash from operation. So this revenue adalah expected to recur. Dia akan recur for the next period. And then gains adalah recognized inflows or prospective inflows of cash from non-operation. So these gains is considered as non-recurring. Dia tak selalu berlaku macam gains on disposal of assets. Bukan hari-hari you dispose you punya assets, right? Tapi you jual you punya inventory hari-hari. So that is part of the revenue. And then untuk expenses and losses, expenses are incurred outflow, prospective outflow, or allocation of past outflow of cash from operation. So losses are the decrease in a company's net asset arising from non-operation. So expenses adalah those yang from operation, losses adalah yang not from operation. So expenses macam you punya cost of goods sold, macam you punya depreciation. So that is the expenses. Losses are something like loss on disposal of assets. So that is the decrease in company net asset arising from non-operation. Expenses and losses are resource consumed, spent, or lost in pursuing revenue and gains. These are the alternative income classification and measures in terms of income dimension. So you punya income can be looked in two dimension, which is the operating or non-operating ataupun recurring or non-recurring. So the operating and non-operating classification depends primarily on the source of revenue or expenses. Okay, kita akan tengok dia sama ada dia arise from the ongoing operation ataupun due to the security transaction ataupun financing activities. Kalau dia due from operation, dia adalah operating income. Kalau dia due from security transaction ataupun financing, dia akan masuk dalam kategori non-operating income. So non-operating items such as interest may be recurring in nature because interest on investment is not a main business. Because the company ada duit lebih, so they invest the money. So dia bukan major in investing. So bila dia buat investment, dia dapat interest income, that is called as a non-operating item. But it recur in nature, selagi dia ada investment tu, dia akan dapat interest income. Next adalah recurring versus non-recurring. So non-recurring adalah loss, contoh macam loss of inventory due to fire is also operating loss. So because inventory termasuk dalam part of the operation, tapi kalau loss tu due to fire, kita tak akan anggap benda tu recurring sebab bukan setiap hari you akan ada loss sebab terbakar you punya inventory tu. So it's non-recurring item. Okay, this is alternative income classification and measures. So, untuk this alternative income statement measure, kita ada 4 main measure. First one adalah the net income, also known as the bottom line. Okay, it measure the income, tapi kita akan exclude the unrealized gains and losses. Right? And then kita move on to the comprehensive income. Dia akan include most of the changes to equity that result from non-owner sources. It is actually the ultimate bottom line. Kalau tadi nama dia bottom line, untuk comprehensive income nama dia adalah ultimate bottom line measure of income. Is the accountant's proxy for economic income. So dalam comprehensive income ni kita akan masukkan the unrealized gains and losses. Next adalah the continuing income. It exclude the extraordinary item. Okay, contoh macam extraordinary item adalah the effect of discontinued operation from the net income. So let's say the company ada discontinued some of the product line, so dia akan disclose satu lagi bahagian which is the continuing income. Dia akan keluarkan yang discontinued operation punya. Next adalah the core income. It exclude all non-recurring item from the net income because dia nak tengok apa yang main operation of the company's income sahaja. Okay. We are going to detail on operating versus the non-operating income. This one adalah the operating income. It measure the company income as generated from operating activities. So there are 3 important aspects of operating income. First one, dia pertains to only income generated from operation. Second one, dia focus on income of the company, not simply for equity holder. Okay, so dia akan keluarkan the financing revenue dan juga financing expenses. Dia akan totally focus on the company itself. So number 3, dia pertains to only ongoing business. So kita akan keluarkan yang discontinued operation. So that will form as part of the operating income. Dia ada 3 aspect here. For example, the gain and losses from activities, the impairment losses from operating assets, the unusual item such as restructuring charges, strike of workforce, and other revenue or expenses such as interest income or expenses. This one adalah referring to the non-operating income. So the non-operating income includes all components of net income that are excluded from operating income. So yang kita exclude daripada operating income tadi, kita akan masukkan dekat sini, the non-operating income. So it is useful to separate the non-operating component pertaining to financing and investing. So mainly under the non-operating income dia ada dua ni lah, financing and also investing. Sebab these two kita akan exclude masa kita kira on the operating income. So dia akan masuk dekat kategori the non-operating income. This is comprehensive income, which is it is the income measure that reflect all changes to shareholders' equity other than from the owner's activities such as dividends and changes to share capital. This is the simple calculation on how do you compute the comprehensive income. So you have to start from the net income and then you can add or minus the other comprehensive income items such as the unrealized holding gains or losses on marketable securities, the foreign currency translation adjustment, the post-retirement benefit adjustment, and also the unrealized gains and loss from derivative instrument. And then when you add all these things, you will come out to 1221. Then you akan tambah dia, so dapatlah the total comprehensive income amounting to 2426. Moving on, this is the non-recurring items. We are going to start discussing on this one, the extraordinary items, the discontinued segment, accounting changes, restructuring charges, special item, and the last one adalah impairment of assets. This is extraordinary item. So dalam extraordinary item kita ada 3 points yang kita akan discuss. So first one adalah kriteria untuk satu item tu jadi extraordinary. So kriteria yang pertama dia mestilah unusual in nature. Maksudnya benda tu bukan normal, bukan kebiasaan. Second one adalah the infrequence of occurrence. Okay, dia tidak berlaku selalu. So examples untuk extraordinary item adalah uninsured losses from major casualty such as earthquake, hurricane ataupun tornado. Ni rugi daripada gempa bumi and all this. So dia tak usual dan juga dia tak selalu berlaku. Next adalah losses from expropriation and gains and losses from early retirement of debt. So this one adalah infrequent and unusual, these examples. Untuk disclosure and accounting, this extraordinary item is classified separately in the income statement. Dia akan ada separate category. So dia akan exclude bila kita compute the permanent income because dia tak recur all every time. Dia bukan recurring item. So it is included bila kita nak kira the economic income. Next adalah the discontinued segment adalah salah satu daripada non-recurring juga because the company sometimes dispose of entire division ataupun product lines. This one tak berlaku selalu. Okay, kita tak selalu discontinued a product lines. So sometimes they did that, discontinuing a product line ataupun a segment. So when it happened, the business disposed, so called that as discontinued operation. So this discontinued operation kita akan disclose separately dalam SOPL and also SOFP. So to qualify as discontinued operation, the operation and cash flow of the divested business yang kita dah keluarkan tu, kita mesti boleh distinguish dia clearly from the remaining entity. Meaning to say that you have to know the cash flow, the assets, the income and the expenses for the discontinued segment. Okay, and you must be able to segregate them separately from the one then continuing operation. So that one is discontinued segment. Next, on non-recurring item adalah the accounting changes. So company, dia boleh ubah dia punya accounting method yang underline the assumption of financial statements for certain reasons. Okay, sometimes dia ubah sebab adanya standard baru yang issued. Sometimes dia ubah sebab nak reflect better the changing business activity ataupun condition. Sometimes dia ubah because dia nak cantikkan account year, so called the window dressing to manage earnings. So there are few reasons kenapa company ubah dia punya accounting methods. So these accounting changes includes the change in accounting principle change in accounting estimate, change in reporting entity, and also correction of error. So sometimes bila berlaku error pun dia akan ubah juga the accounting methods and assumptions. This is a non-recurring item. One of it is special items. So this special item adalah melibatkan transaction yang unusual dan infrequent. So the economic implication adalah a bit complex, but unfortunately dalam GAAP dia provide little guidance. So they have ada challenge lah untuk analyze this special items punya effect. And it is actually discretionary nature that serve earnings management aims. The other dua types of the special item, which is asset impairment and also restructuring charges yang kita akan tengok later. The next non-recurring item adalah the restructuring charges. So these costs usually related to the major changes in company business. So you kena restructure balik business tu, so you akan incur some costs which called restructuring charges. So example of these major changes includes, first one, the extensive reorganization of business. Divesting, maksudnya you nak keluarkan some business unit. Terminate contract or joint venture. Discontinuing product lines. Worker retrenchment. Okay, you retrench pekerja. Management turnover and write-off combined with investment in assets, technology or manpower. So to do all this, you kena pay these restructuring charges, which is not really common. This is one of the special item, which is asset impairment. Impairment loss is charged apabila asset fair value adalah di bawah daripada book value. So when the fair value is lesser than the book value, so value yang you carry in your books is actually not correct. So you kena impair. So that is called impairment loss. Some reasons for impairment adalah the decline in demand for asset output, the technological obsolescence, the changes in company strategy. So how do you account for impairment? So you akan report the lower market ataupun lower cost, no disclosure about determination of amount, and no disclosure about probable impairment. Flexibility in determining when and how much to write off. So bila you ada this impairment, actually it does not have a timing or how much that you kena write off. So no plan required for asset disposal. You akan buat dia as and when it happens. And conservative presentation of assets. Usually kita akan keep it at the book value. So bila kita rasa adanya impairment, which is bila fair value lebih kurang daripada the book value, then only kita akan recognize for impairment. Next, kita nak move on revenue recognition. So revenue adalah inflow or other enhancement of asset of an entity ataupun settlement of its liability that resulting from company's ongoing major operation. So dia berkaitan dengan operation lah bila kita nak cakap tentang revenue. Untuk gains adalah the increase in net asset ataupun equity resulting from peripheral or incidental transaction of a company. Yang ni yang tidak selalunya berlaku. Dia incidental. This one, I rasa semua orang tahu bila kita nak recognize revenue. So, generally kita nak recognize revenue apabila it is earned ataupun it is realized or realizable. So, this criteria is actually straightforward, right? But there are subject to certain exception and it has been interpreted in different ways. So, kita akan tengok later. So amongst the criteria untuk you recognize revenue for the company adalah the earnings activity are substantially complete and no significant effort is necessary. Maksudnya dah complete untuk kita recognize the complete transaction, so kita boleh recognize our revenue. The risk of ownership is effectively passed to the buyer. This one, bila the risk and reward pass to the buyer, so you boleh recognize lah you punya revenue as a seller. Next adalah the revenue and related expense are measured or estimated with reasonable accuracy. Next adalah the revenue recognized normally yields an increase in cash receivable or securities. Okay, in certain condition, it yield in increase inventory or other asset or a decrease in liability. So, bila adanya recognizing revenue, mesti ada increase in cash ataupun receivable ataupun security. Next adalah the revenue transaction and are at arm's length with independent parties, not with control parties. So, revenue transaction ni dia kena at arm's length. Maksudnya, you berjual beli dengan orang yang independent, not your subsidiary or not your saudara mara, like that. Next adalah the transaction is not subject to revocation. Dia tak boleh revoke balik, tak boleh reverse balik the revenue. Okay, once you dah sell, it's sold. Okay, these are some issues on the revenue recognition. First one adalah the uncertainty in revenue collection. Okay, bila you jual barang kepada someone through debt, maksudnya through credit sales, you akan face the possibility of unable to collect that debts, right? So you kena provide the provision for the doubtful account to reflect the uncertainty in the collectability of receivables from credit sales. Next adalah macam mana nak recognize revenue kalau the revenue when the right of return exists. Bila customer ataupun buyer tu ada hak untuk return balik barang. So in this case, revenue recognized will be only at the time of sale. Okay, maksudnya you akan recognize revenue bila berlaku sale sahaja. Sebab before that dia boleh return the merchandise at any time. Next adalah untuk franchise revenue. Franchisee fee revenue will be recognized only when all the material, service and condition related to the sale are satisfied by the franchisor. So kalau franchise revenue ni, franchisor tu dia akan bagi servis kepada franchisee. So bila dia dah satisfy all the condition, barulah dia boleh recognize the franchise revenue. Next is macam mana nak recognize revenue under the product financing arrangement. So this product financing arrangement involve a transfer of inventory that is in substance means of financing inventory. So apa benda ni? Maksudnya company tu jual inventory kepada company lain tapi dia janji nak beli balik inventory tu pada masa yang akan datang. So sekiranya the risk and reward is not transferred, then company yang menjual tu dia akan still keep the inventory dalam dia punya statement dan dia takkan recognize any revenue because the sale seems like an financing punya activity, bukan really selling the inventory lah. Next adalah the revenue under contract is determined based on the percentage of completion. This one you dah belajar masa MAF 201. Okay, the contract costing. So ni lah kita akan recognize revenue bila kita dah siap certain percent of the project. Unearned revenue usually for long-term performance contract such as the product warranty ataupun software maintenance contract. So untuk revenue long-term performance contract ni kita collect in advance. Maksudnya kita collect dulu duit tu. So bila kita collect dulu duit tu, kita dah dapat the unearned revenue. Okay, kita tak layak lagi terima revenue tu tapi kita dah collect duit. So macam mana nak recognize the revenue? Dia akan proportion over the entire period of the contract. Moving on, this is deferred charges, which is the cost incurred but deferred because they are expected to benefit the future period. So deferred charges adalah bila you incur cost sekarang tapi you akan deferkan cost tu kepada beberapa period selagi dia dah dapat benefit dia. So there are 4 category of deferred cost, which is research and development, computer software cost, cost in extractive industries and also other costs. So in your syllabus dia takkan cover all, so kita akan tengok some of it, which is the R&D and also the computer software costs. But feel free to read your textbook akan ada this another two. The first deferred charges adalah the research and development. So accounting for R&D is problematic due to, kenapa problematic? Sebab dia high uncertainty of any potential benefit. Bila you involve in R&D, maksudnya you incur cost untuk R&D, dia tak certain that benefit akan dapat in the future. Right? There is no certainty. So the time period between R&D activity and the determination of success, bila you akan tentukan masa you buat R&D, dia mesti buat sebelum produk tu dijual. So macam mana kita nak tentukan masa antara R&D activity ni dengan bila kita patut boleh recognize the cost. Intangible nature of most R&D activity. This one of course, research is usually intangible, tak nampak. Difficulty in estimating future benefit period. This one also because of uncertainty, dia mungkin akan ada difficulty untuk kita estimate berapa banyak benefit yang dia akan dapat masa akan datang. Okay, because this problem are similar to those encountered with employee training program, product promotion and advertising. So, masalah mengenai R&D ni sama je macam masalah kalau kita encounter with the employee training program. You train you punya employee, right? So, dia jadi pandai buat kerja. Bila dia pandai buat kerja, dia akan bring benefit to the company. But how do you determine that? Okay, how do you determine that bila dia pandai, setakat mana dia pandai yang dia boleh bring the income? Macam mana you nak match the cost of training kepada the benefit yang employee to bring? Sama juga dengan product promotion. So, the cost of promotion can be determined, right? Tapi macam mana you nak tahu promotion ni boleh dapat benefit banyak mana? So that one ada masalah in term of determination of success. So untuk R&D ni, what is the accounting treatment? Kalau ikut the intangibles as standard, the research cost kita akan consider dia sebagai expenses, the development cost kita boleh capitalize. But actually depending on macam mana dia punya determination lah, the company policy and all that. This one, another one yang kita akan tengok, deferred charges on computer software costs. So, a little note, accounting for cost of computer software to be sold, leased or otherwise marketed, identify a point referred to as technological feasibility. So, bila dia dah boleh dijual, dia boleh disewa. So, benda tu dikatakan sebagai ada technological feasible. Feasible tu maksudnya boleh dijual lah, ada masa depan. So, sebelum adanya technological feasibility, cost tu kita akan expense bila incurred. Maksudnya, kalau you ni orang IT atau orang system designer, you buat dulu sistem tu tapi belum tentu lagi boleh jual. So, at that point of time, cost yang you guna untuk buat that product ataupun that design or that software, you akan expense. Selepas adanya technological feasibility, the costs are capitalized as intangible asset. So, let's say bila you dah buat dia punya design of the software, somebody wants to buy your software. So, dia dah ada nilai, right? So, dia dah nampak the technological feasibility. So, cost yang kita incurred afterwards, kita boleh capitalize as intangible asset. But before that point, the technological feasibility point tu, you akan expense off je. Alright, we have reached to the end. Since practice makes perfect, you please do these 4 questions due for our discussion in next meeting. Thank you.